Live tonight on American Zombie. Here we are together again on the radio. Make America go to war again. That's what people need to use MAGA for now. It's hilarious. And think about the question, right? Is America becoming great again? Now, the average person that has their head in the ostrich hole might actually say yes, because people are being persecuted, innocent people especially, along with people that are guilty. But imagine that's just the way things operate. Because look at all of the times innocent people have just been eradicated with no type of repercussion by the government. I think it was Texas that had executed many people that were on death row, only to find out a few were actually innocent after they were executed. And instead of looking at the procedure and saying, hey, if that happened one time, to say, we have to revamp this, an innocent person they just executed. No, they just kept going on, saying, hey, we're getting rid of criminals, but yeah, you're also executing innocent people that have been put on death row. And that's what's happening right now. Yeah, they're getting rid of criminals, but they're also executing innocent people. This is the MO of is that making America great again? Well, maybe if you're a fan of the film Birth of a Nation, it might be. And again, if that were to happen, we already see that the people in Birth of a Nation that sponsor things like that, they eat each other. They eat each other. That's why 70% of the pedophilia in America is committed by a certain ethnicity of males. I mean, that's a very large amount. That's a pedophilia problem in the white community that I don't hear anybody talking about. They should be saying, hey, instead of harping on what Black people are doing, how about preventing children from being assaulted? But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And this doesn't seem like it, but when we see people complaining about Black crime, which, if there is such a thing, it's just crime committed by a Black or white or Spanish or any type of person, that's the way you classify it. But remember, they tell people to say things in the wrong way. We become confused. There is a crime problem in America. A serious, and it always has been. I mean, the country was started on crime. That's something I don't hear many people saying, but it's the truth. Why do you think it's so criminalistic right now? Is America really becoming great again? Was it ever great? Now, you think about how, what was it? Johnson, he was saying that if you can convince the lowest white man that he's higher than the highest Black man, you can pick his pocket without him looking. Now, even though Lyndon B. Johnson was said to be a known bigot and possibly had something to do with the Kennedy situation, I mean, a Southerner that had been implicated in a few things, but again, the good old boys, this ain't about truth, honest, and justice. This is about 70%. Forgetting about 70%. Who was it? Dennis Hasserat. I think he was either a Speaker of the House of Representatives, and he got caught with a 5-year-old, and they didn't prosecute him. So how do other people go to jail for nonviolent crimes? They say, how do these people go to jail for nonviolent crimes, but crime just keeps rising? Well, when you have politicians like that are doing things to children and don't go away, that's raising crime. And then putting people in jail for nothing, that's how it happens. J.R. Starks, good to see you, man. America never was going to be great again. MAGA is a scam to install the beast system, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know if it's to install a system. I think they were going to install a system regardless. But yeah, never was going to be to make great again. To think that people would think of that and follow it, it just shows you how susceptible they are to propaganda, how gullible they are. I mean, we were all gullible. We can all think of things that we might hear without ever thinking about it and pass on that information like an idiot. That's something we don't want to be. So the first thing to do is to identify the idiotic behavior and prevent that from happening. Let's look at, oh wow, forged in the flesh, brother, man. I appreciate man, thank you for the support, brother. He says, I will give more, brother, man. Thank you so much. I got the link pinned here, brother, to the top of the chat if you want to hop on. It's always a pleasure when you're on, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. Keep up the good work. I will, bro. I definitely will, man. Thank you, bro. And Mark, good day all, bro. It's always a pleasure, brother. When I saw, like, I wasn't keeping in with the politics as much because I've been doing so much writing and editing and really pushing to get the Human Origins book. I was working a little bit with Scribe today for hours on titles and revisions, and thank goodness he's helping me with a lot of that, man. Guys, I mean, great friend. And in the middle, he was even telling me, he said, you know, maybe you need to be working on the book a little. And I said, I have to stream. I said, you know, I want to stream a little bit at least every day. And then the book in early March, I'm thinking about doing like a trailer video. So I've been working with the picture that I'm using in the book for that. The Mind, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man.
What's up? Yeah, just FYI, I am forging the flesh, just in case you were unaware. That is me. But I did want to talk a little bit about. I've been wanting to talk about the human origins and like my perspective on it a little bit, because I mean, I do know you say, you know, you like to keep it as scientific as possible, but I do like hit from that perspective too when I talk about, you know, my perspectives on reality, because I tried to throw in, you know, the concept of infinity and eternity into this worldview that I hold, and I think that plays a key role. Okay, well, this is the thing right now. It's real windy, and I'm in the street, so I do want to talk about this, but maybe I would say in like 30 minutes, because I really don't feel comfortable with the audio. Okay,
that sounds good. All right, I'll wait for you. I'll be here.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I'm excited to talk about the spirituality and stuff and the human origins. And yeah, there's only so much we can do scientifically, and then we start to see that the spirituality part, there's things that you're not going to get proof for. There was a movie where I think it was Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, where there was a scene where he was a religious person and she was an atheist, and they were talking about something, and he said, well, you know, there are things you can't prove that exist, and she didn't understand that, but her father had passed, and he said, did you love your father? And she said, yes. He goes, okay, prove it. Now, you might be able to prove that you cared for the person, maybe taking care of them, paying bills, buying food, cooking, stuff like that, and just being there for them. That's caring for them. But love, there's no way to really prove that you love, because that could have been done. People can care for somebody to make sure they're in the will and stuff like that. But also people care from somebody. People are just with people because they love them, because they want to just be there. Usually they say love is where you're at, right? Because you're just constantly doing it. So there are definitely things that you can't prove scientifically. What's that old saying? Logic and reason speak, but feelings bite. So feelings are something that bite. And when I speak about feelings is not everybody thinks, and we see that, but everybody feels. Almost everybody, because you do have some people that are numb. when I look at people that are numb to certain things that are going on, like there was I think I mentioned it on the show. I was talking with somebody the other day about a study where in the Great Lakes, I mean, man, it's crazy with them spraying all this pesticides. It just, the animals are changing. They're becoming like mutants. They're becoming mutated. Some of the fish, due to certain chemicals, in my opinion, in the water. And when seagulls are eating them, their offspring are becoming hermaphroditic. Now, we have that. Nobody seems to care about it. That's shocking to me, especially people with children. It would make you wonder if a fish is producing if a fish is producing signs of hermaphrodism, you know, both sexes in the same animal, in the same animal, fish, you know, bird. I think it was, I'm looking to see if there was something about them finding, I forgot which animal it was. They were finding in the male part, I forgot which part, but one of the reproductive areas, they were finding eggs, female eggs. So not only because, you know, human males, we kind of,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the frogs.
yeah. So when I look at all these things and I'm saying to myself, this is like, to me, this is serious stuff. The fact that, you know, it's like, wait a minute, what did it do in the water? So, and then what did it do to the animal that ate it? The offspring came out to where it was actually hermaphroditic. So when people are talking about this, you know, a lot of children not being sure of which way they want to go and stuff like that, it really makes me, it makes me wonder. 2 + 2. The bird ate the fish, and the child of the bird, the offspring, came out hermaphroditic. The human is eating stuff. Who knows what's in the water? And this is the water.
And
yeah. So
just
could
that,
that?
my brother. The crazy thing about that too is in nature you will normally see the you know, the female animal do that, but now in the labs it's the opposite. It's the male that's doing that. Okay, I'm gonna mute it again.
Mm-hmm. Alexis June, good to see you, brother. He says, did you see the State of the Union and Trump giving the Medal of Honor to someone only after 1 month of vetting it? Wow. No, I didn't. Man, I was seeing that, like, it was always on the live thing, but I you know, I figured it might have been boring. It's hard for me to watch the politics, but I didn't see, wow, if you didn't say this, I wouldn't have known he gave somebody a Medal of Honor. That's crazy. After honor to someone off after 1 month, that's the Medal of Honor. I mean, when I was in the military, it wasn't a lot, but I remember they said if you get the Medal of Honor, you get $200 a month for the rest of your life. Now, that's not that much for a person, a recipient of the Medal of Honor. You know, it's like maybe a brass star, I could see, but a Medal of Honor, I mean, shouldn't you at least get enough money to eat every month? And that's a veteran. I mean, most of us kind of go hungry. I mean, I eat about 2 meals a day. I mean, I'm not a heavy eater, but I really can't afford to eat that well. Alexis Jun says CW5, Chief Warrant Officer 5. I think that stands for. I thought they got rid of those ranks and made them into officers. Or they are officers, but they're in between, like the lieutenant captain officers and then the enlisted men, the sergeants, in the middle of that. In the Army, we used to have the Chief Warrant Officers. Eric Slover, Google his name. All right, I'm going to look this up right now. Eric Slover, Medal of Honor. That's crazy. I mean, you got to do some crazy stuff to get a Medal of Honor. You're just giving these things out, man. Medal of Honor. Okay, they got a wiki. Okay, so they got a wiki page. Let's see, United States Army Chief Warrant Officer 5. All right, I was right. I remember. or they pounded into us enough for us to remember it. 160th Special Operations Aviation. Wow. This guy's in an airborne regiment in Afghanistan. Okay. All right. He's got the Medal of Honor, Distinguished Flying Cross, 3 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart, Meritorious Medal, and Air Medal. But then again, I mean, when I was in there, I already know. I mean, ask Pat Tillman about these medals, you know? People might get mad. It's like Pat Tillman, you know, and Medal of Honor is huge. It is stupid huge. But when I was in, and I wasn't in too long ago. I mean, even though it was 90s, but $200 a month. Come on, bro. Even now, I mean, I don't know what it is. Like, let me see what. And this guy, it seems he has been in. I don't think it says how many years of service, but even self, man, that's a big. How much does a Medal of Honor, all right, recipient get paid? So it's significantly increased, it says here. See, this is the thing, because I was like, wait, who cares about a Medal of Honor? $200 a month for what? And then remember those black veterans that never got the Medal of Honor, and like 70 years later, 2 of them died, and then I think only 2 were alive, and I think it was Clinton that gave it to him. I mean, just, it's like, really? It's like, why would it? It's like, how? I remember saying, how do I get a Medal of Honor from someone that has no honor? I remember people used to get kind of upset, but they don't like the truth, you know. It says here, as of December 2025, so that it just changed. And look at this, it says Living Medal of Honor, because they definitely don't want to give those 2 guys that passed that they didn't give it to. They won't want to give it to their families. Recipients receive a significantly increased special tax-free pension of $5,625 per month, so approximately $67.5K annually. And now you can live off of that, especially if it's not taxed. So let's just see, they get their, you know, it's funny because in pursuit of getting that, you usually don't, you know, you don't come out all in one piece. So it's a 10% increase in retirement pay for enlisted recipients. So that means officers, I guess. Well, I mean, what officer really deserves a Medal of Honor? It's really for the enlisted men. They actually do the heavy lifting. Automatic enrollment recipients are placed on the Army, Navy, Air Force Medal of Honor roll. Special privileges. A pension is also available to eligible surviving spouses. Now that's cool. That's cool. At least, you know, their spouse, maybe some of those spouses of those guys could still at least receive something. But I mean, it's a lot. When I look at what I don't even want to say it's sacrifice, because I got a lot. I mean, I was just naturally acclimated to it. They try to say everybody's natural born killers, but I would say it's possible. I don't think everybody is. Some of us are, some of us aren't. Some of us, you know, that might be there more in a defensive mechanism. So in self-defense, if we have to defend ourselves and that were to happen, then it happens in that way. But then you got these other people that are able to put that harm on people, but it's an offensive. And that's when you get these nutcases, the Jeffrey Dahmers, you know, a lot of the psycho cops going around popping people that are unarmed and stuff like that. It amazes me how they can it amazes me how they can refrain a guy that shoots up a church and kills a black woman senator and all of that stuff in South Carolina, was it? They're taking that guy alive, man. What did he off, like 4 people or 8 people? But a lady without no type of weapon, a nurse that goes to some protest, they're popping them. A black guy holding a wallet, popping them. I don't care if the wallet looks like a firearm. You're supposed to be trained. You're not supposed to be an animal. Not enough people talk about this. Alexa says, MD, please Google Operation Sea Spray. You have to see this. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now. Does the majority of Medal of Honor just have connections, or is it actual good people? Man, I think honestly, I think it's just connections. The actual good people were those 4 men from World War II that were supposed to get it. I mean, I wouldn't say all of the guys are bad. Remember, some of these guys, they get to a point to where when you're in there, you can't really do much. You can't go against the system. I mean, you're basically one of the stormtroopers. Let me look up Operation. I'm glad to see it increase that much, but only since 2025. That's crazy. Operation Sea Spray. It sounds familiar. Operation Sea Spray. I'm so glad I can look stuff up now at the same time. All right, Operation Sea Spray was a 1950 unit. Oh wow, yeah, the Navy's yep, the biological experiment, yeah, the warfare stuff. Yes, that's what the bacteria was. This the one in San Francisco? Yes, this was okay. Yeah, I do remember. There's a book, and this is like crazy. There's a book called Clouds of Secrecy that gets into this this experiment, and it talks about other ones. It talks about this one. I think it spoke about like, I think it was 500 to 800,000 people had fallen ill from this. What was it was the 1950 part of the biological, so the 1950. Wow. Well, what do you know? What do you know? Think about this. Look at the data that 1950. And when were we saying that World War ended? And, I personally think, in my opinion, that the Nazis won the war, that they didn't lose. They moved to America and Australia and Canada and to England. Well, they probably already were in these countries. But and in 1950, all right, look at this, 1950, they start experimenting on the United States population. Now, to say that this is just my opinion, the American government has documentation of experiments on people before that. So, it could be that, okay, maybe it wasn't the Nazis. Maybe it was like Carlin said, the Nazis try to do what America thought is their job, is ruling the world. It's like, oh, you trying to do that? Nah, we're going to have to put you on hold, and then we'll take care of that afterwards. And Alexa says, and of course they were testing a pandemic. So yeah, man, I'm telling you, bro, that when I look at that, and then I remember as a teenager, they used to have this drink in the bodegas called Tropical Fantasy. And I remember guys used to say, yo, don't drink that. It was made by the Klan. And, I think I might have drank one or two, but that was before they told me. And, everybody was, you go in there. I mean, we were drinking the 25-cent red juice. I mean, what is that? What is that? The red dye, like that plastic little barrel for 25 cents. I remember buying that stuff. Just, you look at some of the stuff in the store. When I started getting like cleaning up my act and stopped buying a lot of junk stuff, I remember a friend of mine told me, he goes, yeah, man, he goes, you don't really like, he goes, he was running into the store. I had stopped. He goes, he wanted to run in the store. And he goes, yeah, I was going to ask you if you wanted anything. He goes, but there's not really nothing you would get from this convenience store. And I said, yeah, man. I said, I've really limited myself. Everything that I'm going to get, I try to keep just getting from the supermarket. And even there, I got to be careful to make sure my, I don't fall into buying some of the stuff I know I shouldn't buy. I mean, I'm a potato chip zombie, and I try to like keep that limited. I mean, I eat potato chips and I can feel like the next day a little bit of the pouch on the midsection, but potato chips are a straight crack, man. That's like a form of like edible crack or whatever it is. I mean, when you look at I had that like back off like the sugary stuff with the boxes. Oh my goodness, man. They the drug foods. I don't need drugs, man. All I need is drug foods. That's it, man. I mean, you look at between the coffee. I mean, I see why people are overweight. I see that. Thank goodness I'm still kind of a slim guy. I mean, I think I'm around 185, maybe 190 now. But being told I can carry like 210 and still be, just probably a little bulky at that. But yeah, you look at people, and the pouch to exercise when the pouch like recedes and I can, I already can see my six pack, but you want it to be like clean, without a little bit of the pouch. And how hard it is to work that, to work out and to like, because you can't, a workout is not going to make your midsection slim. A good midsection abs start in the kitchen. It's what you eat. And it just this name is White Heat Truth. How you doing, man? How you doing? Oh man, the name, yeah, man. That thing I think it took more than a year off, man. I lost a lot of people I love, man. It just I mean, I got it. Like I didn't go and take the thing, but when I look at how it changed everything, and it's as if nobody remembers, but some of us, we know, but the majority just don't care, man. They just don't care. It's like looking up, and I'm so glad Alexis had put that for Operation Sea Spray to look that up. It really, yeah, bro. That's how I remembered the book Clouds of Secrecy, because I think I was researching another test that they did in the New York City subway, because they have signs and stuff when they say they release biological agents just to do a so-called test to see if, I guess if any serious thing would happen. And, think about that. Am I supposed to really believe that they're not going to put something that would actually pose harm? It's like, don't worry, it's not going to do, we wouldn't do that to you. It's like, yeah, but you did here in 1950, documented in San Francisco. And what about the ones that weren't on documentation or classified or redacted? It says here in this one, the test team thought the bacteria it used was harmless, but several people got sick and one person ended. Look at that. Look at that, man. I remember when they were training us on how to use the gas mask with the mop suit and all of that. I mean, very cumbersome, because you had to shoot, your targets. You had to train and be accurate with the mask on and stuff like that. And the mustard gas, they would talk to us about. They said, yeah, they said that stuff start making flesh fall off and stuff. Blistering agents, just the C4 gas that we were gassed with. I mean, man, standing up, the liquid mucus coming out of your nose is going from your nostrils to the ground. Like, I mean, you're just coughing. That's like the riot gas when they gassed us with that to so-called train us. And I'm like, this is like some crazy stuff, man. White Heat Truth says, been enjoying your level-headed content, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. That guy says, what you think of the events in Mexico? Man, I apologize. I haven't really been watching this stuff. I've been editing so much and working and doing stuff with trying to get the productions. And then when I stream, that's why I've only been streaming like every other night. Now I'm trying to stream at least the next couple of days for this month and even into March. But during the day, I got to do the stuff and then, getting the charts ready for when I do release it. So that's really the only delay that has been happening, why I'm not really up to date on a lot of this stuff in Mexico. But what has been going, if you want to put it in the chat, White Heat Truth says, I believe the U.S. government was spraying DDT on the streets. Wow, in the 40s in Chicago, New York City, Chicago, San Francisco. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I'll tell you that. I wouldn't put it past them. Let me see if there's some studies with that. All right, let me see. The U.S. Let me see. U.S. spraying DDT in the 40s and 50s in New York, Chicago, etc. All right. During the hey man, yo, you're on point, bro. White Heat Truth, you're on point with that. I looked it up. It's there. Christopher, always a pleasure, my brother. Greetings and good rising from across the pond, my brother. Always, man. Oh yeah, definitely Nazi. Definitely. Come on, bro. You know, man. Come on. You know, man. You know. Going back to the other, because I'm switching back from Windows. That's why I'm not seeing everything when people I switch back to see the comments. It says here, yeah, man, you hit on that, man. It says cities like New York, Chicago to combat mosquitoes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Man, the way they put this is just, I gotta give them credit for just being inventive. Schools, oh my goodness, often in public areas, schools, and even people, even on people, they were spraying DDT. America is straight. I mean, the gangster level on this stuff, that the I don't care about what they think, is just on another scale with American criminals, man. These people, and when I say criminals, of course, I'm talking about the people in government, and also, well, all criminals in general, but the most of them, you already know the two types: either you're going to be private sector or government, and that's what it is. So it says here, public spraying, all right, carried out on, man, this is so sad, was used in public parks and beaches and neighborhoods to control so-called polio, it says, carrying mosquitoes. I wonder who, maybe, you think it's like, did mosquitoes naturally carry polio? As you see, I mean, just the fact that anything they say, you have to take it with a grain of salt, man. Alexis says they always use bugs and excuse. Yeah, the same they do for the crops. Exactly, man. Exactly. They just killed the most powerful cartel bosses in Guadalajara and came to complete halt for 2 days straight. Oh, I didn't even really. Oh, I didn't. I gotta look. They said that DDT just about. Let me see. I'm not seeing it too clear. They said the DDT just about eradicated bed bugs until it was banned. Go figure on that one, friends. Yeah. I did hear some stuff about. Yeah, I got to look that up more, because there was a guy that, to Stan Monteith, Dr. Stan Monteith, was talking about that Black Circle. My brother, always a pleasure, bro. Always been many years, bro. Many years we've been chilling, bro. Always a pleasure to see you. Looking into the DDT spraying, going back to the other window, and just seeing the indiscriminate spraying caused environmental damage and led to the publication of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that book. That I read a little bit of it, but that book is a deep read. I've seen little bits on videos on YouTube. Rachel, I guess you say, Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, 1962. Which that's what spurred the ban. So Dr. Stanley Monteith, he's saying that, like how what you're saying here is that DDT is getting rid of the bed bugs, but it was banned, right? But he was saying, he goes, why is it banned? Like, he was trying to say it's not as dangerous as it is. But again, when they were trying to promote it, a guy was saying, look, this is not dangerous. And you can find the video on YouTube. I think it's still on YouTube, where the promoter, like one of the people in the DDT corporation or working for those corporations, trying to say it's not dangerous, went on, I think, a talk show. And the guy was, I don't think it was an American talk show, but they were speaking English. And he was telling him, like, yeah, it's all a hype, that trying to say that this is dangerous. And he goes, okay. He goes, so you're going to drink a teaspoon on it on our show? And he's like, no, I'm not. And they go, no. So if you're telling us that it's not dangerous, well, why wouldn't you do something like that? And that's when he was backpedaling. And then, eventually he didn't do it. White Heat Truth says, I recollected the DDT severely jacked up the birds. I recollect the DDT severely jacked up the birds of prey. Their reproductive process eggs were hit hard. Oh, wow. You know something? They're saying that I don't know if it's the atrazine, but it's definitely one of these chemicals. They were finding male birds with egg sacs. Fish, I had showed it on an old stream, that were female fish that were becoming egg bound. I think they were finding female signs of female genitalia within certain parts of male genitalia. Like, I mean, this is some Frankenstein stuff, but people, they distract them with the ball chasing. I mean, they're too busy chasing balls to really worried about DDT. Especially just recently, wasn't it the biggest ball chasing event just passed in America, the Super Bowl ball chasers. I'm surprised people ain't really talking about that anymore. And it's funny how they started in the 1940s with that. Let me see this. Like when they say fluorine is good for cavities, but don't talk about the bad side effects. Man, it is so messed up. Fluoride, they try to do it with fluoride because, they said, how are we going to get rid of this? Hey, sell it to the public, and put out a campaign. Fluorine, they started putting in. Fluoride, I think you can still filter out because I remember they had fluoride filters. Fluorine, I don't think you can filter that out. There has to be, because I remember when I was working with water filters a decade and a half ago, and I was going through, the stuff to learn and all of that. I forgot what type of pills that they would put, like how people put these shock pills in swimming pools to clear out the bacteria that they do to, I think, counteract or dissipate the fluorine. Because some chlorine will be able to be filtered, through a filter. I don't know about some of these other things. I'm not sure about them. I mean, the big question should be is why are people putting these chemicals in the water? Is that making America great again? And you know what the great thing is that's in line with the topic, because Trump actually, he took away, they said, and I'll look it up just to confirm again, a lot of EPA money. All right, did Trump stop EPA programs? And we'll see what it says. Yes. You look at this and it's like, so we're talking about fish and stuff like that are getting these things. And, Glow Boy over here it says his second term, right? He took extensive action to shut down, reduce, or reverse numerous environmental protection agency programs and regulations, framing these as the largest deregulatory action in U.S. history. So the greenhouse gas, okay, fine. Shutting down the Office Research and Development, he did it with, environmental justice. Man, that's messed up. This is not, look at what Trump took the funding away from. When people try to play the racism stuff, I'm just reading off the stats here. They can say what they want, but this is the stats, right? Anybody can look it up. Did Trump stop EPA programs, right? And it says here that environmental justice, offices focused on addressing pollutions in minority and low-income communities were eliminated. But notice all his kids and his daughter wearing suits. I mean, it's pathetic, man. It's freaking, I don't know how anybody even respects it. These people are just monsters, man. It's like, so trying to at least make sure some of the poor low income communities aren't polluted. It's like, just eliminate that, man. And you wonder why people get angry and hate. You wonder about that. You wonder. It's like, oh, it's because they're a certain color or something. That's why they get really, not because you've been treating them like inhuman for centuries, man. And not just black people. It's funny enough that I'm surprised a lot of other people from many different ethnicities were treated in the same way. This entity has been cleaning the clock of everybody. White Heat Truth says, the claim was stannous and calcium was not as bad. Stannous, that sounds familiar. The claim was stannous and calcium and hexafluorophosphate and other heavy industrial fluoride. All right. That's for the, okay. I see what you're saying here. White Heat bringing the knowledge, man. But I think fuel standards, the administration moved to eliminate vehicle emission standards. So this is crazy. So now that is crazy for models years 2012, 27 to 2027 and beyond. That, how do you eliminate vehicle emission standards? That's a thing to make sure, that you're not pollute, like, catalytic converters and stuff like that, and things that prevent, certain, I guess, additives to the fuel that prevent, certain other types of pollution. There is a study, and you guys will find this one crazy if you don't already know it. There was a study about, what? I'm just going to look it up because, being at the gas thing, I just thought about it. Christopher says psychological poisoning just as much as physical. Yeah, that's a really good point, brother. That's because we got to understand the psychological poison. Where the mind goes, the body follows. Wow, yeah, man, that's a great, man. You are on, man. Thank you so much, man, for bringing that point up. The psychological poisoning. I remember we used to call it psychological engineering, but it is that and poisoning too, without a doubt. Clearly, man, clearly. It's everywhere. Project cuts, over 24 farm and food resilience projects, along with various related initiatives, lost funding. Wow. Regulatory rollbacks indicate over 100 environmental regulations were targeted for repeal. Wow. So I guess that's making America great again? Or is that making America polluted again? So it should be MAPA. People should call it MAPA instead of MAGA. Make America polluted again. Basically, that's if I said, let me look at the scientific, and saying all of this, I'm not saying Biden or any other of these guys are good. I'm just pointing out hey, whoever wants to sit on the throne, they're going to have to take the criticism. I guess this is why a long time ago, if you criticized, they would start to come down on you with the hammer. Now it's a whole different thing. It's sort of like you can say what you want to say, just keep paying your taxes. And it's like, what was it? The rapper, hey, freedom of speech, just watch what you say. And the freedom of speech, I forgot who it was that was saying, he was saying the freedom of speech, that's the guy that's trying to take your freedom of speech. The person that tells you have the freedom of speech. We were born with that. Now, if you say it, it's more or less like freedom of speech. Just watch what you say, because you can say what you want. If you go over to Iraq, you're just going to get stoned. That's all. You can say what you want over here. You're just going to get hung. That's it. A lot of people don't know. People that protested, I think it was World War II or World War One. They imprisoned people who even spoke out against it. I was like, it was crazy. Let me see. World War. Speaking against WW2. So yes, you see, and I'm just doing this because I've read this stuff and researched it before. And I always try to say, let me just put it in there just to make sure. And if it is, that just makes it double. I like to double and triple check stuff. White Heat says engines can be modified to run off 90% petrol, water and petrol. In your opinion, YouTube guidelines. Other suppressed tech, like, a lot of stuff were, the stuff that they put, the fact that they had a meeting and said, look, man, we're going to make sure that, and you can, a matter of fact, I'm going to look this up after I read this. It's about the light bulbs. So if I forget, the light bulbs that the manufacturer said that they're going to make a certain, limit. So it says here, in World War II, during World War II, people were imprisoned for speaking against World War II. What type of stuff is that? What type of stuff is that? Like the Sedition Act and espionage laws to crack down on dissent, really, to crack down as if dissent was bad, right? with over 2,000 prosecuted in the U.S. alone for seditious and unpatriotic speech, while many receiving jail time. And then after they do that, people will shame them for being a felon, try to call them a criminal when they're really heroes. They're really, these are the people that save us because they spoke out. And what did they get? They got called a felon. They got jail time. And then for the people that they try to save, we see that today. I notice all those people that used to call people felons like a racist or something. They'd be like, oh, he's a felon, like Ted Nugent and all of that would say that. I remember on Joe Rogan, he would try to bring that up. I wonder what he's got to say about his commander-in-chief now being a felon ped, probably. You think about that. Epstein file. Well, who knows? Nugent, you never know. He might be in there. He might be. And I can't say I don't like his song Stranglehold, but I can say that I don't like him. I don't like his behavior. I won't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, he just, it's embarrassing when you look at somebody like that. And it's just the mind, he is here.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm at my house. So how does my mic sound? I could get a microphone.
It sounds all right. It sounds all right. I feel a little tick, but I don't know. Do you still have it plugged in or you charged? Or?
No, let me get the microphone. Hold on.
Okay. White Heat says it's fascinating, but before Pearl, the majority of Americans oppose going into World War II. Yeah, right. It's as if Pearl was staged, right? I heard that they had already sunk some Japanese submarines off the coast of Hawaii, and they kept telling them to stand down. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look that up right now. Electric cars, but where are we getting electric? Yeah, where are we getting the parts for the batteries? I mean, you're not getting an electric car for a certain price without slave labor, man. You know, when you get some of these things. The challenge popping out of the shadows. Here it comes, Trump cheerleader. How is Trump a ped? I don't know, but I think being in the Epstein files is the first step of how to become a ped. How Trump becomes a ped, what's the first step? Well, being in the freaking Epstein files. That's the first spot right there. So you want to know? There's the answer. White Heat says USS Ajax. That was the Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So it was the the USS Ajax was what? I was gonna look up were submarines sunk off Hawaii during WW2. Yes, look at that. Look at here, right? Look at here. So that attack on Pearl Harbor, when they were telling them, like, look, man, they're like, nah, what are you talking about? It's all right. Look, wait for our orders. And that's how it was in the military, man. You have to, I mean, I look at that, it's messed up. I think Fedor order the fleet to Pearl to under Pearl. I don't get the FDR. I think FDR ordered the fleet to Pearl under protests. Order what fleet? I think, let me see. It's the submarines that they sunk. They were Japanese midget submarines sunk during the Pearl Harbor attack, including 5. But I think the submarines were attacking before the planes. And they were trying to, I heard something about people were saying, look, you know, we're under attack. And they're like, you know, until it was basically I guess the so-called kamikazes, that's when it just seems very orchestrated. And especially how you're saying that, you know, people were you know, they were reluctant to go into World War II. You know, you think about that. And yeah, and I think they said Britney Spears just showed up in the files as an abuse victim or something like that. Minesweepers, I'm not. I mean, the Pearl Harbor thing is very. It's very. Wow, that's Yeah. Challenger, you are funny, bro. You are funny, bro. Pacific Fleet from Florida. Yeah, I think I mean, yes, some admirals didn't agree. You know, when you look at that, the fact that instead of having a council to say, okay, not all of us agree, we need a meeting, right? They're like, nah, boom, war immediately. He left the Army and Navy as sitting ducks. Remarkably, the aircraft carrier was on. Yeah, yeah. So the Navy was sitting ducks. Yeah, yeah. Yep, exactly, man. And it's so sad because now that stirs up the sentiment of the zombies instead of thinking, well, I don't think much people knew that they basically sacrificed Pearl Harbor, it seemed like. And the whole war, to me, all these wars are orchestrated. I mean, the Japanese, when the Japanese, this is the most hilarious stuff. When the Japanese um, when they were attacking China and all this, and that's not a funny thing. I'm saying in a way of I'm laughing because of how they were called honorary Aryans. And I mean, it's hilarious because you got these people saying, you know, you have to be born, it's your lineage, and it's great. And it's like, wait, hey, what? We like you? Hey, man, you're honorary this, right? So that just shows you it means nothing. They don't know what it even means to say that. Kind of like the whole you know, you have people on YouTube. I don't want to say his name. I don't want to, because I know their channel is already the USS Maine and Louisiana, and Lusitania. I tell you, man, there's so much stuff that with the World War II thing, even the Korea thing. You know what was shocking to me? We know that, and this is, I can't put my finger on it, but I know something ain't right there. Remember they were talking about the Gulf of Tonkin thing? I think the Gulf of Tonkin, they were saying, was the incident that happened to spark off Vietnam that people were saying was staged. One of the admirals, I mean, this a rear admiral is an extremely high rank. If it was in the equivalent of the Air Force, Army, or Marines, it would be a general. So basically a brigadier or a major general, 2 stars, a lieutenant general would be 3 stars, and a general, a 4-star general. So Jim Morrison's father was a rear admiral, you know, 2-star general. If it's the lower half, you have rear admiral, lower half, upper half is, I think, 3 would be the equivalent to 3-star. So isn't it funny how right at the time when Morrison was working on his albums, his father was over in the Gulf of Tonkin? I mean, you couldn't write this better as a script. Yeah, it really, it's shocking. But yeah, if you mind, if you have anything you want to say about the spirituality, we could, you know, any topic with that, you know, just let me know. And but the submarines discovered, sunk, people imprisoned for speaking out, anti-war, anti-Nazi sentiment in Germany, such as criticizing Hitler or listening to foreign radio, was treated as high treason, often leading to imprisonment, torture, and execution. So all these people that have been influenced by the internet to think this was not such a bad guy, I'm not saying there weren't guys that weren't worse. Leopold from Belgium was much worse, but magically nobody talks about Leopold, their so-called King Leopold with the statue in the diamond belt of Western Asia in Belgium. I think what they say responsible for killing more than 10 million Congolese, but nobody really likes to talk about that. But again, that's not saying Hitler is a good guy. That's saying, I mean, he's giving people charges of high treason, torture, leading to torture, imprisonment, execution. So, I mean, any of those ain't good. But
Okay, I'm back. Sorry,
okay.
I was feeding my dog and I was also getting my mic. How's the mic sound? Any better?
It's a little wavy. Like, speak again.
Hello. Mic check, 1 2.
Okay, yeah, it sounds all right. Yeah.
Okay, so the human origins. I was thinking about this before I even heard you talking about it. So you probably were working on it before I was, but I was
It's
Definitely
coming in
thinking about this.
a little like the little bit poppy, a little like. Is it close to you?
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, how about you know what? Let me jump on a whole nother phone and see if that other phone is better.
Okay. Okay. Family and friend got his discharge papers from the Army while he was stationed at Pearl on the 6th. He was due to ship out on the 9th. After the 7th, his discharge was suspended. Holy smokes. So they kept him there. He witnessed the attack and he said he knew what his patriotic duty was. Wow. Wow. That is like, I mean, just when I look at, wow, just, yeah, man. When I think about this, all goes back to, I would hope people would use the phrase, is America, is it becoming great again? You know, is it becoming great again? You had a guy who is just not caring about the environment. How do you pull back on environmental funding to study environment while well, I guess it's to also, you think about it, that they're finding all these pollutants in the water, the air, and the soil. And then magically the president, the highest politician in the country, says, you know what, we're not going to fund the cleanup, or even not just the cleanup, the detection for it. So we don't got to worry about the cleanup because we're not even going to be detecting it because we're not going to have the funds to pay the people because he's cutting the program. And now you don't know what's in there. But the thing is, we knew that there was some stuff. Doesn't that open the door for these companies to come, or maybe they paid, I'm just speculating that this sounds like maybe they paid him money, and then next thing you know, he makes sure those laws aren't intact, and then you look at it like, wait, this is a setup, and then the television comes on to let you know that it's not. Everything's okay. Go back to sleep. Don't worry. Everything's under control. And the person says, all right, Trump would never do that. And that's what we see today. And the same thing with Biden and Kalala and all these other characters that have been in the circus of politics in the American arena. Who was it? Frank Zappa. Yeah, man. Frank Zappa was so right. It's like it's the entertainment. Politics is the entertainment division for the military-industrial complex. It is clearly the entertainment division. And like he said, the illusion will be maintained as long as it is economically feasible. When it is not, they're just going to move the tables and chairs out of the way, pull the curtain back, and you will see the brick wall. And that's some deep stuff, because I think sometimes people start seeing the brick wall. That's we already know what that is. They say in the United Kingdom, pacifists and those expressing anti-war sentiment were jailed throughout the British Empire during World War II. In Germany, of course, they were just straight going 100% plantation on anybody that didn't go along with the program. And the United States, of course, had the sedition trial. There was a conscientious objector such as Gordon Hirabashi were also imprisoned for defying federal orders and resisting military service. Even though I was in the military, I commend guys who resist military service. You got to give those guys credit. That's courage right there, especially under punishment of imprisonment. It's like, hey, if a guy is still thinking, who's a vet, then he would come to the same conclusion or similar conclusion that I'm already at, to say, look, these people have a good point. I feel like, yes, you need to know how to defend yourself to a very, very high level. The mind, what's up, bro?
Okay, mic check again. One more time. How
Oh,
does this sound?
perfect. This sounds perfect now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is a $300 phone, so I would hope it sounds a little better.
Oh yeah. This one's good. Yeah, this one's good.
Uh, okay,
Calix, good to see you, brother. Yeah. So go ahead. All right, we're ready.
so the human origins. I was thinking about this, but I was thinking more of the from calling it from my perspective. I was thinking like something else, but I don't want to veer off from the actual point I'm making here. Uh, I was when it comes to the human origins, I was thinking something along the lines of there is this spiritual aspect to things, right? And I do say when I talk to people who, I mean, I'm scientific myself, but when
Mhm.
I talk to people who are only, stuck in a scientific mindset, like a dogmatic, worldview, I tend to try to tell them like, hey, look, there are these concepts and ideas that we call infinity and eternity that we kind of uh, assume exists in this reality, and um, I think that is when they ask me like to define God, I now we're going off into
No, it's cool. It's cool.
a little bit. The human origins, I do think ultimately does have to do with God, because I
Hmm.
think like there is this consciousness, right? I think there is design to everything,
Do you think
and
the physical creator and the spiritual creator could be two different uh, entities, or it could be one or two, right? Or what do you think? Like if
I do think there was this creation that manifested, and then from that came what we would call like disorder or chaos. I do think we have the ability to create, right? So I think that can extend to whole universes. Ultimately, I believe that's possible. But what was the question?
that is the physical creation of us different from the spiritual, like how the
Yeah,
Native
definitely.
Americans, yeah, they would say the creator and then the great spirit.
Yeah. I think there's a difference. Like I think we are given the gift, like the ability to create. Uh,
Mhm.
but I think that is a different thing from like uh, creation itself, because we
Mhm.
use creation. We don't just manifest things from nothingness. And I think again, when we're talking about like, okay, the human origins, I was thinking, I believe that we come to Earth like as humans to live this, have this experience, to have this sense of separation from everything, because I do believe there's different states of consciousness, right? And I think this consciousness we're in is a human consciousness, and it gives us like an illusion. It gives us many illusions, and one of the this illusion that it gives us is the illusion of separation, and that's when one thing I think as humans we like to do. We like to think we're separate from things, so that like it minimizes our actions, because I think a lot of times people want to do things and not have to have like consequences for their actions, right? So they do things in secret, and
Mhm.
that's like the whole thing when it comes to this existence we're in. Like as humans, you think what's happening right now, like there's hidden truths and there's this and there's that. That's only true from a human perspective. In reality, everything is out in the open. Everything is visible and easily seen for those who can see. So, um, yeah, I'm getting, you know what? Now that I'm verbalizing this, I am actually kind of losing my train of thought, because there was somewhere I was gonna go with this when it came to.
Would it be like I could repeat it? Maybe it'll help you remember it. Where
Okay.
you're saying about we definitely the human origins and the physical seems to be created, which we see this in some religions, like the Egyptian pictures of Khnum and stuff like that. Khanum's potter wheel, fashioning what appears to be a small humanoid man on the potter's wheel with another goddess. So it's not only a male god, Khanum, but it's also an amphibian headed goddess as well. And there are other stuff that talk about the soul body or the spirit body, that once the physical body is created on the potter's wheel, I think the spiritual body now has a place to be implanted into, which also suggests that the non-corporeal, or maybe the consciousness, for people who might think, who might try, like you were saying, who want to only go on the scientific thing and say, oh, well, you're not being scientific. It's like, well, you can't always be scientific. You have to, this is how you get scientific theories. You think and you imagine and you explore and you put things together according to evidence. And that's the method. So I think you were maybe going to expand on something with that, like maybe why we Earth. I think you were going to say something, or maybe why we came here.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think I was wanting to go more down the lines of just like kind of, I don't know, maybe giving a different perspective when it comes to, you know, the non-believer or the atheist, because again, like they say they're non-believers, but it obviously everyone believes in something, and science is the main thing. People who are non-religious, who are non-spiritualist religions, whatever, lean towards. So I just think there can be. I just think there can be this connection that can be made to the infinite, which is directly correlated to uh, creation, existence, and ultimately consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just hard to talk about different, you know, worldviews or different perspectives when people want to cling tightly to only one. Because I was talking to somebody on the Finding Gnosis show the other day, and basically they were asking me to define God, right? And I said, well, my definition of God is an eternal, infinite, no, not eternal, infinite conscious creator. That's what I said. Those are the three aspects that define what God is. He's infinite, which can't be encompassed and can't be fully understood.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, infinity encompasses everything, to be honest. And God is conscious and God is a creator. And I was saying, if you look around, you could see aspects of all three of those things in reality. There's multiple forms of infinity that we're aware of,
Mm-hmm.
and that we have claimed to say that exists. Like I was saying, matter itself, they say energy can't be created or destroyed. So by, you know, like reasonable deduction, logical deduction, you would assume that that thing is eternal if it can't be created or destroyed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that means it always existed.
Yeah, so I was like, these are aspects of what God is. You're asking me to define God. God is conscious. You see consciousness. God is infinite. We see aspects of infinity, because I was saying we can't truly ever get to experience infinity as a finite being, but you could look out and see that, okay, you go out, you try to find the end of space. You're not going to find, I don't know if it's possible to find the end of space, but that's one thing which seems like it goes on forever. So that was one idea I said. But that's it. Long story short, I just feel like it's kind of hard to share your perspectives, because once I gave my definition, they were basically saying like, okay, well, how do you know that those things have anything to do with God? And
It's
I was like,
oh my goodness. And what'd you tell him?
I was like, okay, wait a minute. You know that there are things that, you know, you have presuppositions yourself, right? Like there's things that you believe in that you have no proof or evidence for, but you just choose to believe it. right? Based off because that's a part of your worldview and it frames everything you believe.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, we have that. I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm telling you. This is the worldview, and I'm telling you, you're not looking past your own worldview. And they're just like, okay, well, why is it that other religions have different definitions of God? And I was like, okay, now you're moving the goalposts because now you're not asking me to define what God is. Now you're asking me
Exactly.
why
And
to
who was?
compare my definition to somebody else's definition of what God is.
Do you
So now we're
remember?
not doing this. You're not asking me
Yeah.
the original question here.
Do you remember who it was you were speaking to that was
No.
saying, yeah, because a lot of the stuff, I mean, the guy that hosts it, he seems kind of cool, but he's definitely, I mean, it's like a clown show almost because I
It
remember
is.
one time, yeah, I left the show and then he's like, oh yeah, well, you know, if evolution, it could happen this way. And I was like, you know, you look at that and it's like, damn, I hope you don't got kids, man, you know, because it's like, it's really sad the fact that the host is going to be, and then they cry, oh no, they're an agnostic. They're liars. Every one of them that say agnostic is a straight up liar that is part of the religion of evolution.
Yeah, agnostic, atheist. I had to call
Liar.
him out on that too.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
like
yeah.
the dumbest
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Because they'll say, "Oh no, I'm agnostic. I don't know." Yeah, but you're over here just cheerleading for the religion of evolution at every turn, and some of the people are cool over there, but the majority are not. And you know, I've had them be disrespectful, and the host say nothing. So I see that they're all in bed together on that. But there are a few good people. I think Divine Hazel comes over here from there. Gaia was cool. He used to come over. Jay seemed to be a cool guy. But as far as the other people, it's like I tried to go on, like I think it was earlier this month, yeah, I think it was earlier this month. He was on, and it was like nobody there. Maybe one person watching. And he's like, "Oh, you know, if somebody come on, save the stream." And I hopped on, and then one of his disrespectful friends hopped on, and eventually he muted us, and I hopped off, and I hopped back on a little later, only to realize that I don't think it's like I don't see any growth from speaking over there anymore. I mean, it's like it's not a place where I'd like to be because
Yeah, it's not really for. I wouldn't say it's not really for like intellectual stimulation. It's more. I think it's more for social interaction that they're
yeah,
doing.
that's part of it, but it's also what some people would call dumbification. It because a
Yeah,
lot of
definitely.
people, yeah, you know, the ignorance on there. I can only get dumber if I were to be on that panel. It's like everybody is just. I mean, there's a lot of backbiting, and the host is just there like a freaking crash test dummy. I mean,
Well, to be honest, I only went there because Jackie invited me, and I was there for a little bit. I do like Jackie, so I kind of like follow her around sometimes. But
Jackie,
I,
who's Jackie on the show?
yeah, Jackie.
I
But
don't remember anyone on the show named Jackie. Does she go by a different name or?
you literally said hi to her when she said hi to you. But yeah, you know who I'm pretty.
Oh,
Yeah, you know who she is. She's
Divine Hate.
Australian.
Is huh?
She's Australian.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. She, yeah. I mean, some of them seem cool, but
I mean, she too is like. I don't want to be mean. Everybody has, I think, the potential to be better, right, or whatever. But I do think like you said, like people can get zombified, and I do feel like there are people who are on the brinks of zombification, and then I feel like sometimes I see them and I can like relate to them, and then other times they just go back into the crowd of zombies and just like go with the flow and do whatever the hell they do. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I do feel like it sucks because I really the people I could really relate to just end up being I feel like puppeted, and I'm just like, okay, so what's going on here? Am I just being puppeted too? Because I'm over here talking to a puppet. Like, what's going on here?
yeah. They. I don't. It's like when I like there are a few cool people there. I'll say that, But the fact that they don't like call stuff out, like the host, I mean, I don't know if he's brain dead or what, but they have a few guys that switch back and forth. And it's like, look, when you see somebody disrespecting or doing something like that, I mean, wake up, grow a pair and say something. But magically that doesn't happen. And there was another guy that hopped on, and he literally said that evolution was the best thing that they have, like the best theory that they have so far. That so he's just going to keep it for now. So in other words, it's like saying, you know, the thing ain't right. You know, it serves just a purpose to confuse you. But hey, it's the only theory that out there that's scientific, which obviously it isn't scientific. And I mean, some of the responses that I would see, you know, and I still hope that everything goes well with his show and everything. I just don't think it's a place that I don't feel comfortable there anymore. I mean, he would welcome me and stuff. He's a welcoming person, but hey, you know what? Crocodiles welcome you in the water too. You know, what does the snake become when it sheds its skin? A bigger snake. So I decided I ain't probably gonna mess with. I ain't gonna mess. I got a lot of stuff on my. I went on there as a favor to help him, and I saw what it came. You know, and I realized I said, yeah, that was the test to be like, yeah, even when the book and everything is produced, I don't need to be associated with that. If people want to come over and hop on this panel or in the chat, it's fine. But I look at it like this: when people show you who they are, believe them. And this time when I had spoken with them, I really saw it. And now I'm going to listen to that advice and believe through their actions. And I know that people will, once you see who they are and their behavior, and you can see through their lies, then they'll start to be like, well, they'll start to convince you why you might not be right. Then you just walk away. You just walk away. Yeah, because it's just not, there's other streams. I mean, there's other streams that I've been on too that, again, some type of argument. And then I decide, like, you know what? I don't need to go over there because I am a creator. I'm a writer. I'm an author. I'm a radio host. And I do other things. I'm an artist, an animator. So I can make these things myself, and a content creator, like a real content creator. A lot of these people, like what I've noticed is they'll let other people come on and be the content. And it's like, well, maybe if you started, I mean, that's cool to do sometimes and let people speak their mind, but it's like, how about at least putting out some content, something decent for people to say, wow, this sounds like a good topic, and maybe we
People
can talk.
they don't have the attention spans no more to do it. They don't have the focus.
Yeah, you're right. The attention spans are diminishing. White Heat says evolution is complete junk science. They have no fossil record of any transitions, and that is absolutely true. That is a scientific statement. See, evolutionists don't really seem to understand what a scientific statement is just nothing. There's no record. And it's so true, man. Yeah, it really, that whole, White Heat says he's been over there too. And I gave them enough chances, supported, few people came over here, and I'm always happy when those people are cool. You know, they come over, they've always been cool as far as I know. And there are some cool people over there, but I think when they're over there, it gets in a little, this last time when I just seen the vibe, that girl from Australia, Jackie, when I saw her on there, I don't know if you noticed, but I heard like, it sounded like she was taking swigs off of a bottle. Like, and it was funny because you'd hear this big swig as if she's like holding on to a fifth and taking swigs off of it.
Yeah, no, she's not a drinker. She, as far as I'm aware, because she's been pretty honest with me. And when she lies, she's not a good liar. So I'm pretty aware what's going on. She doesn't really do anything like that.
That's cool. So would you guys meet on the show or somewhere else?
Yeah, we met on a Mandela effect thing, and then she just added me. But I feel like she's just a little weird. Women are weird. It's hard for.
Oh, she's kind of odd. Yeah, she's definitely odd. I mean, I think I had jumped off when she wanted to talk with me, or she said something to me, and then I hopped off because I had told DNW I was streaming that night. The host, like, look, I could stay on for. I had told him that when I came on the first time, And then once I seen the way the other guy was, I said, what am I even doing here? I said, I came here to try to help somebody. And again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I find myself in a place where I don't need to be, and they don't appreciate. If he would have appreciated it, it's like, hey man, I'm over here getting ready for a stream for later tonight, and I click your stream and I hear you begging somebody to hop on. Not even just, hey, the link is in the chat if you want to come on. He's like, hey, if somebody wants to come on and save the stream, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, man, I'm like, come on, at least stand up on 2 feet, stop kneeling. So I hop on the stream, and we still don't have like a conversation. That's when his friend hops on, the dog guy. And that's when I'm like, I already know that you can't have a conversation with that person. And it's just like trying to have a conversation with somebody who is into politics and is supporting one side or the other, because you'll have some people say that Democrats would do a better job they wouldn't do as bad of a job that Trump is doing. But we already know that's not really true. They do the same thing. It's the different wing on the same animal. And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard for me to talk politics. I can't do it. I could like be aware of things, but not puppets.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and that's why I focused on the human origins thing, because with the book talking about how we were created, when I look at the physical structure of certain things, there's just no way.
What about human nature? Because that's what I was thinking. Before I even heard you talking about your book, I was thinking of making a book called Human Nature, because I think people have been so out of line and like unbalanced. They go out of alignment with their own nature, and I think that's a part of the whole domestication thing. Like when you're domesticated, you stop becoming in tune with nature, and you need to rely on all this other stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you write the book, man, I'll put the link in the chat here and we'll promote it for you, man. That'll be great.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna work on it. But what do you think? Because this is what I was saying. It's a part of human nature. Like these are the three only. There's only 3 ways. Like it's part of human nature to react. It's either indifference, in opposition, or in agreement. That's it. There's no other way a person can respond to it.
Respond to what, like somebody like verbal thing, like somebody saying something and you react or you don't react.
Like if you're talking to them about this is what human origins are, either someone's going to agree with you, they're going to not care, or they're going to
not agree.
Not agree.
So it'll be those 3. That sounds so. That and what else you were saying to put in the book, is it?
Well, I was saying that's like an aspect, because literally when you start talking about, look, this is how we are, this is how things work, it's a part of human nature for people to be like, no, it's not, I'm not like that. And then they'll do the exact opposite of what you were saying, because they want to prove you wrong. And then they will literally their whole lives go not doing that thing because they want to prove you wrong and be the statistic that didn't do it. And it's just like, yeah, what you're doing right now, that's a part of human nature. People will do exactly what you're doing just to try to be right. And that doesn't minimize, or just because one person wants to say, oh, well, I'm not like this, like that doesn't apply to me. Doesn't matter. It's not about you. It's about the majority. It's about how things work overall. This overall pattern that occurs, and people want to minimize like what actual good topic or whatever you actually have to say. They want to minimize it and make it all about their own experience. And it's not bad to share your experiences, but not when you're trying to dismiss other people's actual good points they're making. Yeah, that's it. I don't think it's good to.
No, that's a good point you made, because if you dismiss the good points they're making, you can't grow. If you say, look, these things over here don't line up, it doesn't make logical sense, it just, we can disprove it scientifically. Because if you can disprove something scientifically, or just explain where it's not true, because it doesn't really prove nothing, it more explains it, then a person has a choice. All right, are you like how we can show scientifically that life did not just happen by chance? And then they're just like, no, that they can't accept that truth, even though that is a scientific truth, a mathematical truth. When you look at the laws of probability, the intelligence factor in animals all around the world, when they try to say animals are less intelligent because that's what their whole gist was on trying to sell the religion of evolution, to make people, to put the caste system in people, to say this is science when it was pseudoscience, to where they could say this is the hierarchy of man. And that's when they were putting to where, when you look on the charts and stuff, you start to see where it gets very biased in those charts, the way they do that with this evolution thing, which leads to, if they're saying ape to man, so that's saying that all of the other life forms are lesser. And it goes back to a domination thing. And you start to say, man, this evolution thing is not pretty. It is not pretty. It is trying to say that animals are not intelligent. And the only thing that is very intelligent is the top type of human, which we know it's modeled to look a certain way. But when I look at other humans, different looking humans, I see genius, proven genius in academia, scholarships, inventions, production, industry. It's anybody could find many people of many different types, ethnicities, and they are doing very well in those fields, if not managing or owning companies that deal with that. But evolution doesn't want to, they'll say that's just chance, that's evolution. And then when any racism jumps in, they'll try to diminish it as if, oh, well, this person isn't as advanced, so of course they're going to respond in that manner.
Yeah, I've seen talking points where they'll say they will try to like do this thing where they will try to put like a positive spin on it, right? Where they will say like, do you agree that there's some races who are better at doing certain things than other races? Like, for example, one race can be more fit physically and they can run and jump faster and be in
No,
the sun
I think,
longer. That's the thing, the spin they try to
oh yeah, they
do.
try to spin. I would tell them, I
Yeah,
said, look, you can look in any group of people and find some people who are good at that and some people who are not. And a
yeah,
lot
exactly.
of, yeah. So when they try to do that, it goes back to like the Hitler theory, when he tried to create his so-called supermen and then race them against the American runner Jesse Owens, and he beat all of them. So the black man that they were trying to say wasn't superior. He was basically, they were saying that these people that they were superior to them, broke the backs of the Nazis in open competition, made them look like the fools that they were always to be. And people just, again, the racism kept on. And I think eventually they were having Jesse Owens race against like dogs. It was humiliating. But the fact that he beat the Nazis, I mean, that's the most hilarious thing. You got a guy going around trying to say he's fighting for the so-called superior race. And, it's not total blatant, open, like people would say, well, he's saying everybody type of racism, like, oh, all of these people are superior. He can say what he wants, but we see that he's not meaning that, because he's putting a lot of those people that look just like him into camps. He's hurting them. He's ending them. He's having people end them. And this is what we see. That nobody can really say anything to the contrary, because it's been documented and it's been filmed. And it makes me wonder, somebody, because a few people a couple of months ago, within the last year, they had like this thing jump up where I noticed a lot of people were trying to act like, well, he wasn't that bad. And I'm like, really? I'm like, so just coming through, and taking your stuff and all of that stuff, and say you have a son that's 18 and he pulls him in to join his so-called stormtroopers, I guess that's what they would be called. How is, how is a mother supposed to feel that they just come and take her son? No draft, no nothing, no enlistment. They just take them. They used to, I think, do that for the Civil War and certain wars in America. So it gets as we analyze it, it gets hard to look at, but that's where we're making our minds stronger so we can look at it. I know some people that can't, if you talk about certain subjects, they literally can't take it because they're so sensitive. They'll say, well, they want to talk about something else. And I'm thinking like, look, we need to really talk about these important subjects to learn more about the world we're living in, to understand that most of the things they put out around us are meant to make us numb.
Oh, you know what? This reminds me of something you were saying earlier. You were saying like people don't care about what was it? I don't know if you said the corruption or you were saying they don't care about something. And I was thinking. I mean, it's not that people don't care. I think it's people. You're when you were talking about the chemicals in the water and stuff. I was like, there are actually a lot of like natives doing protests and stuff. They just like get water cannon and stuff, right? So I think the protesters and the whistleblowers that do care, they get swept under the rug. They don't get a lot of coverage, and they get uh literally taken care of one way or the other. So um they're not really of a concern when it comes to the powers that be doing what they're trying to do. So it's not that nobody cares; it's that the people that do care get shut down, get silenced, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the issue. Like those that care can only do so much.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, because they do. They'll have accounts and stuff. I think that's where I guess us and other people combined, we can hopefully help people to get their channels back on. If that person ever started another channel, hopefully he gets it back to where it helps them. Because there was one I was looking at about, and he just talks about like animals and stuff, and I think he's an evolution zombie, but he just makes videos talking about some very strange animals that are so strange there's just no way they're just going to form by chance. Look at the electric eel. When you look at something like the electric eel, you think to yourself, how the heck did this creature, they're telling me this creature came from a different type of creature, and going all the way backwards, so-called down the evolution tree, it'll go back to that puddle with the cells and stuff.
And it's environmental. That's the dumbest thing too. They try to say this happened due to environmental changes, but what is really weird is like, okay, so all of these different organisms came from one organism, right? Because abiogenesis, they're in the same environment. They all change differently. So I just don't understand why. What you like you're saying? What would that an eel? Because there's a lot of eels that don't have electric properties in them, right? Why did that one eel need to have electricity in it, and why didn't any other animals in that environment end up producing similar characteristics if it was in the same environment? Right?
Yes.
Like we
Yep.
don't see that happen where there are other animals in the same environment and then they end up producing similar characteristics, like the crab that can make, what is it called, like sonic boom underwater, right, with its shell. You every animal has very specific, like tailored things to them, and you don't really see a lot of times variations of that occur throughout the animal species. That's really tailored to specific animals. So I don't see how, yeah, they're trying to say those things are due to environmental changes, because you would see other animals having similar things too. But it doesn't make sense. Like they want to put logic to things that are illogical, and if you want to like live in a fantasy, anything could make sense in reality if it's a fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah, if you make it vague enough, there was a guy, Richard Thompson, Dr. Richard Thompson. He used to give lectures about evolution and with students, and one guy's like, well, you're saying one thing will change and then change and change and change. He said, what about if it changes and then that doesn't do anything, and then the next step works, but then the next step doesn't, then the next step works, and he's like, so now what you're saying is you want one step to work and then the next step doesn't, but then the next step does, so it increases in these type of increments. And he said, yeah. He goes, okay, show me a model where that exists. The class got quiet. And that's why, like with Gnosis and some of these other places, you can't have a good conversation to learn because the other person is not seemingly to be open-minded. There are a few people that go on the panel that are like that. The majority are not. And this is something that if you want to grow, you just make sure, okay, am I going to be speaking with somebody that they should at least have more intelligence or more knowledge, basically, than me in certain areas. Not
Definitely,
to say that
yeah.
like certain things about certain areas that I don't know, that if I'm open-minded, like you were saying, I have to be open-minded so we can learn now to say, oh, okay, yeah, I could change, you make a lot of sense with that. But like you were saying with some of these other people, it's like they don't even want to, like, it's like they're waiting just to respond to what they're not listening to that you're saying. You could say like a whole bunch of deep stuff, and then they just, next thing you know, they come on and they're like, oh, well, prove to me evolution isn't true. And I'm like, wow, we're having a deep conversation, and that's what you want. And when I say that, hey, well, okay, there's no way for a gene from a certain species to transform into a totally different species. How do you get that? How do you, what type of, who's paying you?
Oh, I do got something for you though, because this is a thing I have seen, and I wouldn't say it's evidence for evolution, but I have assumed that this happens, and then supposedly science found it, discovered it not that long ago, where bacteria, and I'm not sure if it's fungi, but definitely bacteria can end up fusing with cells, and then those cells will start reproducing when they what's it called, split. They will have that, they'll be producing that bacteria within the cell, and it's supposed to do a thing where like it becomes a part of the DNA, so the organism can give birth to another animal, and then that bacteria, it's like a makes a symbiotic relationship. So yeah, they were saying supposedly they found that. I was like, really? Like they just discovered that with all of this like bioengineering they're doing? You're telling me none of this stuff, these new discoveries are going to be a part of this bioengineering, like that they're trying to throw into the mix of just new discoveries?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's definitely a good point. It's, they will always mix and match. What I've learned is the truth teller liar scenario when speaking with somebody who, like an evolutionist or a political zombie or something. It comes to a point to where the evolutionist, the truth teller liar scenario, the logical scenario where somebody can only lie or only tell the truth. If they want to keep the evolution lie, the theory, the religion of evolution alive, right? Then I would say, like, okay, you just ask them questions that, if they don't answer in the correct answer of I don't know, to say, well, how old is this fossil over here that they said was found of a T-Rex or a different type of animal? And they would say, well, the sign, no, you can't go by the sign. You got to go by something else. Like when these people found this and it was in dirt, they just, made up a system of magic and saying, well, it's close to this tree over here and this over here. We'll just say that, this is a person of this, of course, by the person look, you're going to be in certain categories, but that's one scenario. Like if you had a child that could sit there, like when I was a kid, if I'm just on the beach, sitting on the sand, about 30 feet from the water. So I'm very safe of any tide, and just like to enjoy the beach, maybe build a little sandcastle. But then there's, you're in a place where other kids are around sometimes. Some people try to mess up your creation. I mean, when I look at that, that's where it's a big problem. It's like, you don't do that. I see people trying to do that to young kids, 3, 4 years old in the playground, and the other kids are like 12. And I'm like, are you crazy? I'm surprised no father has never went straight Manson over there. And
Well, I think part of it is a learning experience. Like I do think when uh they do there is like this part of a struggle that people do want others to go through, whether it be like subconscious or not, uh to toughen them up or whatever. I think that's a thing, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, so go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt.
no, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, the
Oh,
spirituality.
wait, I want to say I feel like some people don't even get to go through that. I was just thinking about that today. Like some people, just depending on whatever circumstance decides, they never really have to deal with certain situations like that. I think, yeah, uh, I I think it could be a spiritual thing. I do believe we are meant to live life.
Mhm,
We are born in this life, and we are kind of destined to live certain lives. Like if you're born into a certain family, right, that has a lot of respect, obviously, that's gonna more than likely you're gonna probably have it a little easier and get bullied a little less, right?
mhm,
As opposed to somebody who like their mom's just a drug addict and they don't take you a bath and you're all like you don't even not even mentally socially developed or anything, right?
mhm, mhm.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, there's just so much stuff when you look at what's going on and how they constantly try to push this. And white heat, you make a good point, man. Yeah, no transitional fossil record of any species. Like with the eel, like we were talking about earlier. Yeah, if there's so many eels, then why aren't there any eel fossils of of like maybe an eel developing certain parts, not the full electric shocking mechanism like in the electric eel, but small parts. It's like fossils that will come before the electric eel, in their theory, shouldn't be electric because it's missing some components. And then you go all the way back to where now it's just an ordinary eel that doesn't produce electricity. So all of those steps from and this has to happen by random, that cells just randomly mutating, and it forms something that could be this for when the battery part magically randomly mutates until it eventually becomes an electric eel in 150 million years, like they say.
You know
Now,
what? I was just thinking. I want to ask a archaeologist like the question. I want to ask him like, hey, do you know that old saying, "History is written by the conquerors," right?
mhm.
If that's so true, where exactly? If history is written by the conquerors, where does that place the archaeologist?
The archaeologists are the mechanics. They
Yeah, but they're
Yeah,
part of the history, like saying where
exactly.
history was, right? So
They're,
they're in cahoots with the whole
yeah.
uh
Yep. They're
the
they're the
storytellers.
gatekeepers. Yeah, they're part of the gatekeepers because they're there to block what, anybody trying to find the truth. They're there to say, oh, no, this is what that inscription that you're looking at, it says this because we interpreted it as that, and that's what it's supposed to say. Even if you look at some of the hieroglyphs and say, wait a second, this is like, are you sure this is what it says? Who interpret this to give it that that saying?
What do you
Um,
think? What do you think an archaeologist would say if you like confronted him and was like, "History is written by the conquerors. Where are you placed in this hierarchy?"
oh, he would probably say that was in the past because that's his first lie. He's going to lie and say that doesn't happen today, and it's like, yes, it does. So first, they're going to lie right off the bat to keep that belief alive, and the behavior that that belief cultivates is a person that lies like that to keep, you know, the cycle going. And then, you know, you also just to, you can do that for your regular life, but you also have to eat, you know, you have to do other things too. But yeah, it's I don't know if that
Yeah, they always want to act like there's no more corruption or manipulation
oh, it's
in the present day, right?
yeah, it's built on corruption. I mean, just looking at the Egypt guy that Joe Rogan interviewed. I mean, that guy, I knew about him since the 90s, and he's just like, it's he's such, it just emanates a criminal monster that anybody trying to say that the pyramids are older than what they're saying, or there's anything like ancient technology, he immediately ridicules and scorns it. But Joe Rogan had him on his podcast and let him, you know, he gave him enough rope to let him swing. White Heat says, excellent points. There's a lack of exchange and dialogue within most knowledgeable discourse. Folks' egos interfere with the cognate group, dissemination and group fellowship. Yeah, no, you got a good point, man. I mean, what was it, Nietzsche? I think I mentioned it yesterday. The individual has always struggled to maintain his individuality from the tribe. And it's funny because when people think it's the tribe, like the caveman stuff, and this, I say to myself, well, where's the pre-caveman stuff? So those pre-caveman stuff, you know,
Wait. Well, first of all, I don't. When I hear tribe, I don't think caveman. I think of like a what is it called? Like a native civilization.
yeah,
I
okay,
think of like Aztecs or Mayans, like
yeah,
living in an empire. I don't really think, or like tribes built
well, they
nations.
call,
Like they had nations, and it
yeah,
wasn't
well,
just
yeah, well, they say,
this barbaric type of thing. But I do think the
yeah,
world we
not
live
all
in
tribes
has
are
made
barbaric,
us
right?
look at it like that, huh?
Not all tribes are barbaric.
Well, yeah, not all. Not all people are barbaric. I think
Yeah,
most people in general are pretty barbaric, but
yeah,
yeah, not
yeah,
all tribes are
yeah.
barbaric. I
I
think
think, yeah.
that's just like a negative connotation that has been put on a certain group of people.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That you're absolutely right. That we see examples of that everywhere. What is a classification though? What you mentioned about the Aztec and the Maya and the Inca civilizations, those weren't considered tribal. They were considered city state.
Yeah, they're more imperialistic.
They had writing, you know, stuff like that. I think the tribal ones, which again, you know, some will attack and some will not, or the nomadic tribes like the Apache, the Navajo. Um,
Well, that's kind of what I was saying though too. Like tribes form nations.
mhm.
Nations. I mean,
And you're right.
states can.
It was the
Tribes can.
Apache Nation, really. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, I mean that's definitely doable. But what was the point of you saying tribes? Because I just had to throw that in there.
Oh yeah, it was. I think you had said something before that with tribes, with people. It was something with people. It's funny because you said you lost your train of thought before, and I had kind of lost my train of thought at a point in another show, and I've noticed that it happened within these last few shows, and I've been noticing is there something, I don't know, electronic or that is sometimes making me lose my train of thought right in the middle of talking about something, kind of like when you had said something and then you said, all right, you know, you forgot the point that you were going to make. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that I think something is doing that. I don't think that's just us forgetting it because this is happening a little too common. White Heat says these astronomical timelines these so-called scientists peddle is utter nonsense. How do they know what happened on February 26, 1 million years ago? Total zombie suit slayers. You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. When they when they start off with the billions and billions, man, I don't even know. At that point, I'm just like, come on, man, billions and billions of what? Really? And I'm supposed to believe that. I'm supposed to believe that after you told me Christopher Columbus discovered America, you told me they went to the moon and all this stuff, and now you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe the taxes are going where you're telling me they're going? Come on. At least we're still going through the same process of what other people have to go through, but at least we know what's happening. And when you know what's happening, you can prepare for something. You know, you could say, you know what, I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and then I decided, all right, I'm just going to find a place, or just I'm going to stay in this place here and just I'm going to live out my life, knowing that one day it's going to end. And I think that it's very important to try to contemplate why and how it's going to end. Is to say, okay, why? That might be answered a lot quicker, because people might say, well, to satisfy my fleshly desires. And at least they're being honest. Yeah, I would say, okay, look, you can't punish a guy for being honest. So saying something that he feels is going to improve him. And I saw that happen a lot. And it's like that, it's so messed up, because they don't realize how that affects people later in their life. Our experiences when we're young affects us a lot. But when I look at the like, especially politics, you got people that are into politics since they were a kid, and I just never, I never got it. You know, it just always seemed kind of crookery. Always see, just looking at those guys waving, you know, the smile. It's like, just didn't seem genuine. Yeah, I don't know if you had anything. Or, yeah.
I don't know if I told you the story. I know I told somebody. I'll say it again now.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was younger, it was always hard for me to like relate to people, and this is a good example. I know people relate to people like they do small talk, right? And they'll just talk about whatever and share like an experience with each other and bond over that. But it was hard for me because literally talking about presidents, I remember being like 7, 8 years old in school, and we were in like the library. There was a girl. She was like, "Oh, she was showing me a book with the president, like a president book, and it just had facts about George Bush." And she was like, "Oh, look, did you know George Bush had this kind of dog?" And I was just like, no, I didn't know that." And I was just like, I really don't know what to say here. Like, am I supposed to talk more about this random guy that I don't know anything about, or like, am I supposed to care about that he has a dog, right? Like, I really didn't know what to say or like how to respond, and that's basically has been most of like my inner inner monologue when it comes to most interactions. Is just like, what do I do right now? What am I supposed to say? Because I have no idea what this has to do with anything like that we're talking about, or like what we're doing right now. So yeah, that was kind of it. Some people, they feel like validated, or they feel special or important because they know somebody who's important, or like some information that they feel is important. But for me, that was not important to me. Like, that was just useless information that didn't mean anything. And supposedly, like, the stars being made out of gas and air, I thought that was cool, right? Gas and whatever, fire or whatever. But yeah, when I got older, I was just like, I don't even know. I don't even know what to believe anymore, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. You get old enough to realize, uh, to see past the lies, when what I think, to a certain extent, when things just don't add up. Like, literally, things don't add up. People start admitting to not knowing, and it's just like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, literally, y'all need to stop pretending, because y'all don't know. Like that's yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I've noticed that, man. When I speak with certain people, it's like, yeah, it's not much I can really. Some people, that's what I learned, especially like on that stream. there's some people that I know, okay, this person is not gonna have a productive conversation. So it doesn't have to be anything disrespectful said. It's just like, look, I'd rather have this conversation, because they can't, sometimes some people can't have a normal conversation because of the trauma that they've been through, and maybe they need to listen to stuff like how you and I are having a conversation here, and it kind of teaches them, well, this is the way you conduct yourself during a conversation. So you can have a mind uplifting dialogue that you learn from, and you say, you know what, I knew, I wanted to build a video game, but after I spoke with some people that build video games and different things, I see that when I start, I'm going to start this way. I'm going to make sure I use these type of things because of, what I heard. So that type of stuff, yeah. The novels, I think people get into reading those novels. They try to say they're very like spicy and hot. And I think they're the best selling books out, like the fantasy love novels. I think those are the best selling
Well,
books.
I never mentioned that. I was saying, wait, what are you talking about? Because I never mentioned that.
Oh, no, I was just talking about like,
Oh, okay.
different books and stuff like that. Yeah. And just saying,
Yeah, definitely Fabio, right? That's a big one.
yeah. So it's like, some people, they don't want to read stuff that actually will make them smarter. They just want to read stuff that is going to, satisfy their urges. Now, that in some senses can make you smarter as well in a different way, but too much of avoiding any type of serious content kind of gets a person, they're not going to be as focused. And we see that everything around us kind of plays us to be distracted, to not want to, it's kind of like any time you get on and I've noticed this sometimes, and anytime I get on a steady focus of doing something, there used to be some type of distraction. And then I realized that I had to be able to focus so strong that if somebody tried to distract me, I couldn't get distracted. I wouldn't notice them until it came to a point where, they're like, hey, whatever. And it's like, listen, you see, I'm focusing, looking at something, writing, reading. And I notice some people can't be happy with that because they can never do that.
Or I think it's because they need the attention. Like they see that the attention isn't on you, and even though like the whole time you're not even like giving them attention, but they start seeing that, oh, now you're giving something else attention, like a dog, right? If a dog, I'm not trying to call people dogs. I'm just saying that's
Mhm.
kind of like a good example. A dog, they could just be sitting there, and then if you literally have like a toy or something, a toy dog, and you start messing with the dog's gonna be like, what is he doing? Like, why isn't he playing with me? Like,
Yep.
where is his attention? Why is his attention on that thing? Like,
Yep.
and yeah, that I've noticed that too. It happens on a subconscious level too. A lot of times people don't even realize why they're doing the things they do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. They don't even realize it until, even if you point it out, they might realize it at the moment, but then they'll go right back and do it again. So it's
No,
like,
I don't even think they realize that. Literally,
wow.
I've pointed this thing out to my brother. Literally, like whenever we smoke,
Hmm.
he will always not pass me. He would never pass it to me, right? But it's this weird thing where, like, if I'm eating some food, he will always try to pass me the smoke whenever like I am eating, and I literally tell him every time. It's been over going on 15 years now. Like, I don't eat and smoke. If I'm eating, I'm not gonna smoke, so don't pass it to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
It's
he
like,
literally he doesn't pass it to me when I'm not eating. Like literally, he'll smoke it all down, or like pass it to me once, and then that's it. But if I'm eating, he'll just continuously try to pass it to me. And I've told him like, yo, I don't know why you do this, but you literally don't pass it to me when I'm not eating, and when I'm trying to eat, you continuously try to pass it to me, and I don't understand why you do this because I already told you I would like to hit it a little more, I would appreciate if you could pass it to me when I'm not eating, because I don't even get to hit it as much. And we've thought about that before. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. You can't point it out to them. My long story short, if you try to, sometimes they won't even see it or accept it, even in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. They said you can lead a person to knowledge, but you can't make them think, like how they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It just, people are going to believe what they want to believe. Paul Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist, he had made a good point with that as far as giving advice. He said, he doesn't anymore. He said, because a lot of these people are just going to believe whatever they want to believe. The only people really worth talking to are people who want to build a conversation to where both people learn and grow from the conversation, not basically of, oh, I don't, I don't want to talk about that, because it messes with my belief. It's like, no, let's see what I might be misinterpreting. Maybe it expands my vision of spirituality more because I'm open to learning from somebody else's viewpoint of what they think spirituality is or what they have experienced with spirituality. And some people, like you said, who are just totally scientific will say, well, how do you science hasn't come to that yet. They're still, and I'm like, why would I need a scientific method to tell me that how, I'm existing right here? I'm already existing right here. They're doing that to classify me for a different reason, and everybody else too. Yeah, something deep is going on. I haven't totally put my finger on it, but the more information that comes out. Oh yeah, this guy had a question for you. He says, I understand, Mr. Mind. What does President Nixon's dog Checkers have anything to do with my caboose cat? I don't understand that.
Caboose cat? I don't know what the caboose. I did I ever mention a caboose cat?
I don't think so. But did you mention Nixon dog? I don't even remember that.
Well, I was saying the president was. I said I think it was Bush actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Actually,
yeah. You didn't mention. Yeah, I think it was Bush. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
but
yeah he might have made a mistake. Yeah, no, that's cool. He just I was just putting it up. Oh, he said my cat. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, he says his cat. So yeah,
yeah.
but
Well, the conversation was just pointless to me. Was the point really? There
with the
wasn't.
what? With the
Yeah, with the point was she was talking to me about presidents, and I was just not knowing where the hell we were going with
yeah,
the
well, you,
conversation.
you said it best when you said, "Why is she talking to me about this guy that I don't even know?" That like he doesn't even know me, the president. Basically, it's like, what do I want to know about the president? It's like,
Yeah, like why
yeah,
am I supposed to care about this guy?
exactly, and that's a perfect response. More people, that proves you're aware, that you've been awake. You're saying, "Look, I'm not falling for this." It's like I don't care. I don't want to hear nothing about this person. This person doesn't even know I exist.
Yeah, and I know, like as a child, I understood. He was the president. He was supposed to be an important guy, right? But it was just like, okay, I don't care. I don't. He doesn't. Yeah, like you said, I don't think he cares about me. I don't really care about.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
think.
he definitely doesn't care about you or because when somebody can take the money that you make and give $20 billion to another country, and then you don't get any break. So it's like, wait a minute, how are you supposed to be helping me? How are you supposed to be good for me? I could see if I was making like a lot of money. If you're making a lot of money and you're getting taxed, well, that tax money is going to something else. But then again, why wouldn't that tax money go to American tax-paying towns? Why wouldn't it go to fix things in this country? Why wouldn't it go to give people relief checks for the tax they paid in this country? And we don't see that, and we don't see too many people questioning that because it is Zombieville. But yeah, it's about 1 o'clock here, man. I don't know if you want to say a few more things, you can go right ahead. I was getting a
No,
little.
yeah, I'm good. It was good. It was nice having me on. I appreciate it. Um, I think mainly what it probably was I was up all day. Literally, did basically like a 12-hour shift. Got home, and I did smoke a little bit, so I got a little. I've been a little sleepy. I've been a little cloudy
Ooh,
headed,
all
so
right.
that's probably that probably contributed to the whole conversation. It didn't help, the whole thing. But I
Yeah, no,
appreciate you.
I appreciate, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you too, man. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for all the support, man. And I'll stream tomorrow night. I'm going to stream probably around the same time. Oh, Timbo, man, good to see you, brother. Yeah, man. Always a pleasure, man. And everybody in the chat, man, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We'll be on again tomorrow night, and I'll yeah, if anybody's got any suggestions on topics, please let me know. Take care, and we'll talk again soon.